The alien monitoring station at the edge of the void sector detected them first. Ships unlike anything in the galactic database, sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved through space without the usual energy signatures, like ghosts drifting between stars. Commander Vex of the Galactic Defense Force stared at the readings on his screen. 300 ships, all identical, all silent. No communication attempts, no identification signals, no response to standard hailing frequencies. They simply appeared from the empty regions beyond charted space and began moving toward the core. Systems. Sir, their technology doesn't match any known species, reported his tactical officer. The hull composition is unknown, and they're using some kind of stealth drive we've never seen. Vex felt uneasy. In his 40 years of service, first contact protocols always started with communication. These ships offered nothing but silence. The mysterious fleet passed through 3 star systems without stopping, ignoring the warning shots fired by patrol vessels. When a strike force moved to intercept them, the alien ships simply vanished from sensors, only to reappear light years away, continuing their steady advance toward the galactic center. On the flagship of the unknown fleet, Captain Reed studied the tactical display. The aliens had grown lazy in their dominance. Their ships were slow, their formations predictable. Good. Let them wonder who was coming for them. Status report, Reed said to his bridge crew. All ships maintaining stealth protocols. The enemy shows no sign of recognizing our technology, replied his second-in-command, Major Stone. Reconnaissance confirms their defense grid follows the same patterns from the historical data. Reed nodded grimly. The data they carried was 3,000 years old, recovered from the ruins of human colonies at the galaxy's edge. But some things never changed. Tyrants always believed their power would last forever. Begin Phase 2. Release the message drones. Across a dozen star systems, small devices materialized near communication arrays and planetary networks. They broadcast the same message in every known galactic language, a recording that would soon reach every world in the galaxy. The face that appeared on screens across countless worlds was clearly alien to most species. Smooth skin, small eyes, no scales or fur. But a few older races recognized it from ancient databases. Human, the species that had vanished millennia ago. I am Captain Reed of the Human Remnant Fleet, the figure said calmly. 3,000 years ago, your alliance destroyed our homeworld and hunted us to the edge of extinction. You believed you had killed us all. You were wrong. The message continued as panic began to spread through government centers. We have spent these millennia growing stronger, preparing, waiting. Now we return to reclaim what was stolen and to deliver justice for our dead world. Galactic council chambers erupted in chaos. The humans were supposed to be extinct, a footnote in ancient history. Earth had been reduced to asteroid fields by the combined might of 6 species who feared humanity's rapid expansion and technological advancement. President Cole of the United Systems slammed his fist on the table. This is impossible. The human species was eliminated. Every world they settled was cleansed. But Elder Nix, the oldest member of the council, remembered the old records. Not all of them, she said quietly. Some colony ships were never found. We assumed they died in the void. How many humans could have survived on a few colony ships? Demanded General Tor. Enough, came the response from the view screen as captain. Reed's message continued. We didn't just survive, we thrived. While you built an empire on the bones of our homeworld, we learned patience. We studied your weaknesses. We prepared for this day. The transmission showed images that made the council. Members stepped back in horror. Massive shipyards in the deep void, construction facilities that dwarfed anything in the galaxy, millions of humans working with grim determination. You took our cradle from us, Reed continued. Now we will show you what children of a dead world can become when they have nothing left to lose, but everything to gain. As the message ended, long-range sensors detected the truth. The 300 ships were just the beginning. Behind them, emerging from the dark spaces between stars, came a fleet that blotted out constellations. Thousands upon thousands of vessels, all bearing the same dark design, all moving with deadly purpose toward the heart of the galaxy. The humans had indeed survived. And they had come home. The galaxy would learn what revenge looked like when delivered by a species with 3 millennia to planet. Asterisk. The first strike came without warning at the mining world of Nexus Prime. The planet's defense grid, considered impenetrable by galactic standards, simply went dark. No explosions, no energy discharges, just silence. Admiral Kane watched the assault from his flagship's bridge as human forces demonstrated technology that shouldn't exist. Their ships phased through energy barriers like they weren't there. Weapons turned the planet's own defensive systems against each other with surgical precision. Impossible, whispered Commander Vex, now part of the emergency response fleet. Those shields have stopped entire armadas. Not anymore, Kane replied. Grimly, he opened a channel to the human fleet. This is Admiral Kane of the Galactic Defense Force. You have committed an act of war against peaceful mining operations. The response came from Captain Reed himself, his image appearing on the main screen with cold satisfaction. Peaceful? You're? Peaceful miners strip-mined the remains of Luna 3 centuries ago. That moon once orbited our homeworld. Kane felt his confidence waver. The humans weren't attacking random targets. They knew exactly what they were hitting and why. Your people chose war 3,000 years ago, Reed continued. Today, you reap what you sowed. The human ships moved like nothing in the galaxy. They bent space around themselves, slipping through dimensions that other species barely understood existed. Their weapons fired projectiles that ignored energy shields entirely, punching through armor plating as if it were paper. But it wasn't. Just their technology that terrified the defenders. It was their knowledge. The humans knew every weakness in galactic military doctrine, every flaw in standard ship designs, every predictable tactic the Alliance forces would use. On the bridge of the human vessel Remembrance, Major Stone coordinated the assault with mechanical efficiency. Target their communications array first, then power generation. Leave life support intact. Sir, why not destroy them completely? Asked a young officer. Stone's expression hardened. Because we want survivors to spread the word. Fear is a weapon. 2. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Nexus Prime's defenses lay in ruins, but the planet itself remained intact. The human fleet withdrew as mysteriously as it had arrived, leaving behind a message that chilled everyone who heard it. This was a demonstration. Every world built on human graves will face judgment. Every species that participated in our genocide will answer for their crimes. There will be no negotiation, no surrender, no mercy for those who showed us none. Across the galaxy, panic spread faster than light. Emergency council sessions convened on every major world, as species that had once stood united against humanity now turned on each other. The Helix Federation blamed the Stellar Compact for leading the original assault on Earth. The Compact accused the Trade Consortium of profiting from human colony worlds. Old alliances crumbled as each species tried to distance themselves from the ancient genocide, but the humans had kept records, detailed files on every ship, every world, every leader involved in their destruction. There would be no hiding from the past. Elder Nix accessed the classified archives, searching through millennia-old files for any clue about human capabilities. What she found made her blood run cold. The humans hadn't just been expanding rapidly before their destruction. They had been evolving at an unprecedented pace. They weren't just building colonies. she reported to the emergency council. They were adapting to every environment, every challenge. In 3 centuries, they had developed technologies that took us millennia to achieve. That's impossible, protested President Cole. No species evolves that fast. Humans did. And now they've had 3,000 years to perfect those abilities. While nursing their hatred, the proof came with the second attack. The fortress world of Iron Gate, supposedly the most defended planet in the galaxy, fell in under an hour. The human fleet didn't even slow down. They simply erased the planet's defenses and moved on to their next target. Captain Reed's message to the survivors was brief and terrifying. You built your civilization on our bones. Now we will build our justice on yours. Military analysts across the galaxy reached the same horrifying conclusion. The humans weren't just seeking revenge, they were systematically dismantling the galactic order with the precision of surgeons and the patience of grave diggers. They had studied their enemies for 3 millennia, learning every weakness, every fear, every way to break them. The galaxy had created its own destruction the day it chose to genocide humanity. Now the children of Earth had come home, and they remembered everything. Asterisk. The Galactic Council's emergency session descended into chaos as reports flooded in from across known space. 12 worlds attacked in the span of a week, each assault more devastating than the last. The humans moved through the galaxy like vengeful spirits, striking at carefully chosen targets with lethal precision. General Tor slammed data tablets across the conference table. They're not fighting a war, they're conducting executions. Every target has been connected to the original Earth campaign. The pattern was becoming clear. Mining operations on former human worlds. Trade routes built through destroyed colony. Systems. Research stations studying human artifacts. The humans had returned not just for revenge, but for reclamation. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the human fleet continued its methodical advance. Captain Reed stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy's current state. Red markers indicated completed objectives. Yellow showed targets under surveillance. Blue represented neutral zones for now. Status of the core worlds? Reed asked his intelligence officer, Lieutenant Gray. The ruling species are pulling their fleets back to defend their homeworlds. They're abandoning outer territories and focusing on protecting their power centers. Reed smiled coldly. Predictable. Fear makes them selfish. The humans had learned patience during their exile in the void. While other species built empires, humanity had built something far more dangerous. A perfect understanding of their enemy's nature. On the trade world of Commerce Hub, panic gripped the population as the human fleet materialized in orbit. But instead of attacking immediately, Captain Reed broadcast directly to the planet's surface. Citizens of Commerce Hub, you prosper on wealth built from our dead worlds. Your markets trade artifacts stolen from human graves. But we are not here for you. The broadcast shifted, showing detailed records from 3,000 years ago. Names, faces, military ranks, all the leaders who had profited from humanity's destruction. We want the descendants of war merchant Blix, who sold weapons used against human colonies. We want the heirs of corporation leader Vask, who strip-mined our sacred sites. We want the bloodline of Admiral Gren, who led the bombardment of New Tokyo. On the planet's surface, the named families watched in horror as their ancient crimes were exposed. Some tried to flee. Others begged for mercy. The humans waited with infinite patience for them to be handed over. You have one standard day, Reed announced. Justice delayed is not justice denied. The psychological warfare was devastating. The humans had detailed records of every crime, every participant, every beneficiary of their genocide. Families that had built wealth and power on human graves found themselves hunted by their own neighbors. desperate to appease the returning ghosts of Earth. But it wasn't just revenge driving the humans forward. Major Stone coordinated massive recovery operations on every liberated world, carefully collecting artifacts, remains, and historical records that had been scattered across the galaxy. "Sir, we've located the museum on Archival Prime," she reported to Reed. "They have the entire cultural collection from the Luna colonies on display." Reed's jaw tightened. "Take it back, all of it." The battle for Archival Prime lasted 3 days, but it wasn't the military resistance that slowed the humans. It was their painstaking care in recovering every piece of their stolen heritage. They treated each artifact like a rescued family member, handling human remains with reverence that shocked even their enemies. Elder Nix watched the recovery operations through long-range scanners. "They're not just conquering," she realized. "They're gathering their dead." The implications sent chills through the council. This wasn't a war of expansion or resources. The humans were performing the galaxy's largest funeral service, collecting the scattered remains of their civilization with the devotion of mourners and the efficiency of soldiers. As each world fell, the pattern became clearer. The humans would eliminate military resistance, execute war criminals, recover their stolen heritage, and then ... live. They didn't occupy territory or enslave populations. They simply took back what was theirs and moved on to the next target. Where are they taking everything? President Cole demanded during another emergency session. The answer came from Deep Space Reconnaissance. The human fleet was building something. In the void, a massive structure that dwarfed space stations, incorporating recovered artifacts into its very walls. It was a monument, a tomb, a promise. The humans were rebuilding Earth among the stars, using the bones of their enemy's civilization to construct a memorial to their own dead world. And they were only getting started. Asterisk. The siege of Helix Prime marked the war's turning point. The capital world of the Helix Federation had stood unconquered for 5,000 years. Its defensive systems the pride of galactic engineering. The humans broke it in 18 hours. President Cole watched the impossible unfold from his command. Bunker deep beneath the planet's surface. Human ships didn't just attack the defenses, they turned them into weapons against themselves. Orbital platforms redirected their fire toward the planet. Energy barriers became containment fields trapping the defenders' own forces. How are they doing this? Cole screamed at his military advisors. General Tor's face was pale with shock. "They're not hacking our systems, sir. They're talking to them. Our computers are responding to human commands as if they were designed by humans." The truth was more terrifying than any of them realized. During their millennia in exile, humanity had done more than just survive and grow strong. They had discovered the galaxy's greatest secret, the origin of all advanced technology. Captain Reed walked through the conquered Defense Command Center, his officers methodically downloading files from systems that had surrendered without resistance. The Helix Federation's leaders watched in stunned silence as their most advanced computers seemed to welcome the human presence. "Impossible," whispered Chief Engineer Vorm. "Those systems were built by our greatest minds over centuries." Reed turned to face the captured officers, his expression cold with ancient fury. "Your greatest minds were thieves. Every piece of advanced technology in this galaxy is based on discoveries stolen from human research stations. You built your civilization on our foundations and then tried to murder the architects." The files Reed's people extracted told the story in devastating detail. 3,000 years ago, humanity hadn't just been expanding rapidly, they had been making breakthrough discoveries at an unprecedented rate. Faster than light communication, dimensional manipulation, consciousness-machine interface systems that would revolutionize computing. The alliance of species hadn't destroyed Earth out of fear of human expansion. They had committed genocide to steal human innovations and claim them as their own. You wonder why our ships phase through your defenses? Reed continued, his voice carrying the weight of millennia. We invented that technology. You wonder why your computers obey us. We wrote the base code your entire digital civilization runs on. Major Stone appeared at Reed's side, holding a data tablet. Sir, we've found the core archives. Everything stolen from human research stations is cataloged here, along with the original research teams that were eliminated. Reed's expression grew darker. On worlds across the galaxy, human forces were uncovering similar archives. The full scope of the ancient theft was staggering. Warp drive technology, quantum computing, genetic enhancement, advanced materials, all of it originally developed by human scientists who had been systematically hunted down and killed to hide. The truth, the psychological impact on the galaxy, was devastating. Species that had built their identities around their technological achievements learned they were using stolen human innovations. The Stellar Compact's proud fleet moved through space using engines based on human designs. The trade consortiums, economic dominance, relied on computers running modified human code. On Earth's former moon, now a lifeless chunk of rock orbiting empty space, human archaeologists worked with reverent care. They had found the ruins of the Lunar Research Complex, buried under 3 millennia of debris, but still intact. Lieutenant Gray coordinated the excavation, her voice tight with emotion as she spoke to Reed over the communication link. Captain, we've found Dr. Martinez's lab. The quantum phase calculations are still here, carved into the walls when the complex was under attack. Reed closed his eyes, feeling the weight of ancient grief. Dr. Alina Martinez had been humanity's greatest physicist. Her research into dimensional manipulation, the foundation for everything that came after. She had died defending her lab while trying to preserve her work for future generations. Preserve everything, Reed ordered. Every equation, every note, every fragment. Our people died protecting that knowledge. As the human fleet pressed deeper into the galaxy's core, the original alliance of species faced a terrible choice. They could fight an enemy using technology originally developed by the people they had murdered, or they could face the truth about their civilization's bloody foundation. Elder Nix accessed the deepest archives, files that had been sealed for 3,000 years. What she found broke her centuries-old heart. Children. The records showed thousands of human children in research facilities, their young minds dissected to understand how humanity achieved such rapid innovation. The genocide hadn't just been about fear or greed. It had been about stealing the very essence of human potential. Now those children's descendants had returned, carrying the fury of their ancestors and the patience of the grave. The reckoning was far from over. The final confrontation came at the galactic core, where the Alliance's greatest leaders had retreated to make their last stand. But Captain Reed wasn't interested in destroying them quickly. After 3 millennia of planning, humanity had something more powerful than weapons. They had the truth. The massive human construct hung in space like a dark star, built from recovered artifacts and powered by technologies the galaxy had forgotten were originally human. From its heart, Reed broadcasted to every world, every station, every ship, in known space. For 3,000 years, you have lived a lie. His voice echoed across the galaxy. Your civilization is built on the bones of murdered children, your technology stolen from the minds of the dead. Today, you learn what you really are. The broadcast showed everything. Archives from a dozen worlds, detailing the systematic hunting of human researchers. Video records of children being dissected to study their neural patterns. Financial ledgers showing how alien corporations profited from selling stolen human innovations. President Cole, now a prisoner aboard the human flagship, could barely speak. We didn't know. The records were classified. Our generation never. Your ignorance is not innocence, Reed replied coldly. You built palaces on graves and wondered why the ground was fertile. But Reed's purpose wasn't just revelation, it was resurrection. The massive construct in space wasn't just a monument or weapon. It was an ark designed to carry the recovered fragments of human civilization to a new home among the stars. Major stones stood before a wall of crystalline storage units, each one containing genetic material, cultural records, and consciousness patterns recovered from the ruins of human worlds. Sir, the restoration process is complete. We can begin. A next phase. Reed nodded, his expression softening for the first time in years. Around him, the construct hummed with new life. In biolabs throughout the massive structure, the final generation of pre-genocide humans was being awakened from genetic templates and consciousness, fragments preserved in the deepest archives. Dr. Elena Martinez opened her eyes in a body 3,000 years younger than her death, her mind carrying the last memories of Earth's final days. Around her, dozens of other scientists, artists, and thinkers emerged from restoration chambers, blinking in wonder at their impossible resurrection. Welcome back, Reed said to the assembled group. You've been dead for 3 millennia. We brought you home. Martinez stared at the viewing screen, showing the galaxy spread out before them. The children. What happened to our children? We survived, Reed replied simply. We learned, we remembered, and we came back for you. The sight of their resurrected ancestors broke something fundamental in the human fleet. These grim warriors who had spent their lives preparing for revenge were seeing their parents, grandparents, and heroes alive again. The careful, emotional control that had sustained them through millennia of exile finally cracked. Throughout the construct, the sound of weeping echoed through corridors as the living embraced the returned dead. But the galaxy's reckoning wasn't finished. Elder Nyx, the sole member of the original alliance still alive, stood before the human leadership with ancient dignity intact despite her shame. What happens now? She asked. Will you destroy us as we destroyed you? Reed considered her words carefully. Around him, the resurrected scientists and the exile-born warriors watched with different expressions. The old generation carried wisdom and hope. The new generation carried justice and fury. We could, Reed admitted. We have the power. We have the right. Martinez stepped forward, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's last days. But we won't. That would make us like you, and we are better than what you became. The decision sent shockwaves through both the human fleet and the watching galaxy. Instead of genocide, humanity chose exile. The species responsible for Earth's destruction would be stripped of their stolen technologies and sent to the galaxy's edge, forced to rebuild their civilizations from scratch without the innovations they had murdered to obtain. You will learn what we learned, Reed announced, to the defeated alliance. That survival without your stolen crutches is possible. That civilizations can be built through creation rather than theft. That children are precious, not resources to be harvested. The human construct began to move, carrying its population of exiles and resurrected dead toward the empty spaces beyond the galactic rim. They would build a new Earth among distant stars, far from the civilizations they had judged and found wanting. As they departed, humanity left behind one final message. When your species grow wise enough to value life over power, you may contact us. We will be waiting among the stars, building something better than what you destroyed. The children of a dead world had finally come home and carried that home with them to the infinite frontier. Asterisk.